So, Chapter 14, we're definitely going to hit the ground running. Emphasis on the running, because this vent in front of us will immediately have the Ubermorph busting out in about 5 seconds. And I am prepared for him with my contact beam, because as soon as he jumps out, we are absolutely not giving him a choice in getting dismembered. So there we took out his legs. He is stasised at the same time. So I double his stasis while I'm doing this panel. I would probably just opt to get rid of both of his arms in the meantime while he is falling. It'll take him longer to regenerate. But at the same time, while he's regenerating, it'll take him a hot minute. But if you aren't good with these panels, blow everything off of him and then do the panel. There, I stasis him again. Since we have a stasis recharge on the wall, I grab that, and then we immediately go through the door. Because this guy will not give us an opportunity. We go out and to the right, grab our power node, grab everything along the way because we don't have to worry about him right on our ass anyways. We will shortly, but not currently.
This evacuation is illegal, you know that. Don't you dare tell me what I can and cannot do on my own station. My grandfather was running this place.
But we're gonna go into the next room, and it's gonna start hitting the fan again. Again, we don't have to worry about him yet. He's gonna be in front of us. We do have to worry about this puker, so I immediately get rid of him. And here, the best course of action in this room, grab this body, the Ubermorph will jump out in front of us, hit him with it. It'll fall into the scanning range, he'll fall down, and then you can run through the door. And he will stay on us, so keep booking ass. I forget about it, and you will see me absolutely poop my pants in about a second here. Because I'm waiting on the puker, even gave him a cheeky stomp, and then I pooped myself. Yes, he did scare the shit out of me. Even though you didn't see the screen shake or anything, he absolutely terrified me. I'm not even going to hide that fact. But here, we definitely want to dismember him as much as possible. There is another power node around this corner, so we will grab that, as well as the material here, and then run through this hallway. We're definitely going to get attacked by a bunch of stuff, but there you can actually see that the contact beam will knock off nuggets on you while you are using its secondary fire. But we'll activate this elevator as soon as possible. Since the Ubermorph is still a ways away, we can just get rid of it. Or we can just activate the elevator while it's still recharging itself. And if it does happen to come along, we still have our contact beam. If it gets near us, just immediately secondary fire. Now it's going to come busting in the room with us. We have this fuse panel on the wall here we want to get rid of. So I hit it, immediately open up the door, because there will be infectors in here, and just start blasting the floor with the stasis again. And again, it has a lingering effect, so anything that enters the field after you've used it, you don't really need to worry about. But we're not going to waste our ammo while the Ubermorph is trying to get his ass in the room with us, so we're just going to lock it and immediately shut off the gravity in this room. The Ubermorph literally can't come in this room with you. Because normal slashers and stuff don't have zero G animations or anything, they can't come into these rooms. So at this point we just have to deal with the nest that'll be at the end of the room. So we're just using our stasis. As you can see, the nests actually have a limit on how far their projectiles go, but it was really far. So we're just going to deal with it in the meantime, use our stasis, abuse the fact that we have it, and here, just dodge. After that, we would just wait for these things to be done firing and then go through where they were firing. And grab the semiconductor that the nest drops, and then reactivate the gravity. If you are a javelin gun enthusiast, this is definitely one of the sections where it shines. If you upgrade it to where it has the special that it explodes, it will absolutely destroy the Ubermorph and the nests. Like, if there is one reason to keep the javelin gun, besides doing a shit ton of damage on a single target, it is definitely nests in the Ubermorph. But this power node door is definitely one of the most worth it in the game. It will give you 2 power nodes for it. So, you definitely want it. Basically just think of it as getting a free power node and then materials. So, 100% worth it to do it in that room. But here, we're going to have our last store. So, make sure you have everything that you want, need, will ever dream of. Because this is the last stop shop. This is our last shop for bench and store. So, everything you have ever wanted, needed, can dream about, think that you might need, get it here. Because this is the last. And if you are using the contact beam, you're definitely going to want at least a few shots whenever you get to the end, because that is what we're going to be using on the boss. The contact beam is one of the fastest boss killing weapons in the game whenever it comes to the final boss here. I think it's pretty closely tied with it and the Seeker Rifle as far as time, but the contact beam can kill the final boss in about 8 seconds or so, I think. Somebody timed it. Don't quote me on that, but it's really quick. But we just fully upgrade the contact beam, and because I know there's not going to be another power node door, the holding 1 power node because a power node door coming up might be a thing goes out the window. We don't need to hold a power node for a power node door that doesn't exist, so you can use the final one in this case. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. But we will be running the second gauntlet of these chapters coming up here. So I just decided to max out the force gun at the very end, so now it has the full firing speed. But then we're going to be on the way.
Convergence is almost here. Meet me at the mark.
This is the final run of the game. The entire time we're getting chased by the Ubermorph, and shit is trying to kill us. And it is all enhanced, and it will absolutely mess your ass up. So we deal with the 2 leapers that are on the walls here. They are simple enough. As long as we have stasis, we can deal with most anything. There is a puker up here, so I actually use that to my advantage, because I know the Ubermorph will be around this corner. So he's completely dismembered now. And you can deal with the puker after the fact, because he can snipe you, which I believe does happen. Yeah, he absolutely sniped me. But at the same time, I wasn't too concerned with it. I would probably just recommend getting rid of him so the option doesn't even exist for him. But here, we're going to abuse contact beam in these tiny rooms because it will hit everything in the room. And we're going to grab everything that we can while we're in them. And then go into the next hallway. It's going to be a cluster again. There I use the force gun to cancel out that puker's attack, and then hit everything with the contact beam's secondary fire. Again, since it has the lingering effect, it will hit everything that enters the area shortly after use. So it is a good option. And here the Ubermorph comes down, takes a swing at us, but then the puker dismembers him for us. It did no damage to us, but it absolutely just destroyed the Ubermorph for us. But unfortunately at the same time it slowed us down. And another quirk that I will point out, a little late though, is when you're reloading you can't interact with things. So you could see me trying to get in that cabinet, but I couldn't. So I just get the Ubermorph one last time with some stasis, and then I'll run through the door. And pull out the force gun and just blast that guy down, and then run my way across while stasising everything. Stasis is kind of your friend in this final run. If you don't want to use a shitload of ammo, then it's just by the best means. That's why I gave myself so much stasis at the end. But with that, we're actually coming up on the final hallways. We'll see the Ubermorph one last time right here. So we knock him down, hit him with the stasis, and then we'll run through the tunnel here. And then we just hit this last fuse, and then that's the last of the Ubermorph. Unfortunately, it didn't let me hit it, so I just opted to shoot it. There's this little balcony area that you can go onto. Not really important, but it is there. And now we're on to the final section, and the final boss. And I really wonder how Isaac is able to do anything after that. So at this part, there is something fun to note. There's actually 4 things you can do here. You can fire and hit him, you can use the secondary fire, you can fire and miss him, or you can actually just do nothing and he dies. So you actually have 4 different things that you can do to Tideman there, and all of them do something different. Like his head pops off if you hit him with it, if you miss, it will just fly off into the distance. If you do nothing, he just chokes to death. And if you secondary fire, it fries him and sets him on fire. But this is the final boss. I don't know if I'd even really call it a boss, but we're just going to pull out the contact beam and make the shortest work of her. But a thing of note is, if Nicole gets near you and touches you, you die instantly. So, don't let her near you. So we hit her, shoot the marker heart, hit her again. I gotta reload, but we shoot the marker heart again. I'm not sure why the Necromorph kids didn't disappear, because they're supposed to, but they also hit really hard. But other than that, we just used the contact beam on the ground to clear them out. And that was the final boss, if you can call it that. It took us probably 15 to 20 seconds, so I was actually kind of slow, but we did it. It's pretty anticlimactic, but still, I mean, it was an interesting concept. But we're not completely out of the woods yet. We've actually got one final section. And I don't think I have actually ever died on the final flight. I know people that have, but I never have. So if that proves how kind of easy it is to do, I don't know. I think you actually have to try to end up dying at the final part. So, the final flight, super easy. It's basically just an up-down sort of thing. Kind of like whenever you're falling from the solar array. But instead you're escaping with Ellie.
You complete bastard. Was this your great plan? Dump me off and die?
And again, I really appreciate Ellie. I like her as a character.
I'm crashing through the roof to get you.
If ever there was a Dead Space spin-off, I think it would be nice to have her ventures between Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3.
Have a say this time. Heads up.
Because she is just a fun character that is probably about as strong-willed or more than Isaac. So, I think she would make for an interesting main protagonist. But once we start our jet boosters, that's whenever we're in the final section. You can see the giant chunk of debris. We just go to the right. Then the giant other chunk of debris here, you just have to stay away from the right. Go up over this one, and then down under the next one. And then that's it. That's the final flight. Tap A really fast, get on ship with Ellie. And that's the end of the game. Oh, something fun that I will point out here as well. You can actually heal yourself right here, which I do. See how Isaac is red? And now he's full health. I don't know why you can heal yourself there, but you can. But this is a cute little nod to the end of the first one. I always thought that was pretty hilarious. But if you'd like to stick around to the after credits scene, there is actually an after credits. I'll put a timestamp. But other than that, in the meantime, I like to give the credit to the people that actually made the game, so I will display the full credits. I think they deserve that, so. Because they made this game, and I love this game, and it has been a giant part of me playing games, I plan on keeping the credits. It only seems right. But yeah. Dead Space 2 is probably one of my more played games. It's been a while since I've actually played it, but I did play it a lot whenever I was younger. It was actually one of my first M-rated games that I bought myself, back whenever I was first 17. Fun fact there. The first one that I ever bought was actually Fallout New Vegas, and I was 16 at the time. Don't tell anybody that Walmart employee let me have it still. He was a cool guy. Sorry, random dude that I don't remember your name, but yeah, Fallout New Vegas was actually my first M-rated game that I bought. Dead Space 2 was, I believe, the second, where I was actually 17. So that's an interesting little tidbit. As for that, I'd say it's probably up there with games as far as ratings go. It's definitely got some moments that make you question, like Isaac taking off his damn helmet whenever Strauss is trying to kill him, or whenever Ellie wants absolutely nothing to do with him and then finds Strauss, who just says, "I know Isaac," and then she's like, "Oh, let me call him." Like, wanted nothing to do with anyone, and then magically was just like, "Hey, I found this guy. You want to be BFFs?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." It's got some interesting points, but, you know, that's just a given. But other than that, there are some other games that I'll probably be playing. Resident Evil 4 Remake is supposed to be coming out pretty soon. I also do plan on playing the other Resident Evils, like Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, probably the originals too. Resident Evil 1 I can usually clear in a little over an hour, but it has been a while, so that might take a bit. And also, playing it in general and recording it will probably pose an issue for the time being. I need to find a way to actually record that. 2 and 3 Remake will be easy enough because I have those on PC. But yeah, I do like the Resident Evils as well. I might just play through most of those. I also see Fatal Frame, the new one, is supposed to be out, and I do have the old ones, so I might play through those. Basically any horror games I do have a lot of. I actually do own Kuon, as well as stuff like Haunting Ground, Obscure, those kinds of games. Which Obscure is on Steam too, so I might look into that. I just plan on playing like most of the stuff. a lot of things that I passed up. I know Siren is supposed to be like super complicated, but at the same time, I'd probably play that. Then there's other oddball things that most people don't know about, or stuff like that. As long as it's got like horror or some other stuff. Not really a fan of the walking sim ones, like Amnesia or anything like that, Outlast. I like the ones where I can actually fight back. I don't know how many people really agree, but that's more my shtick. I like being able to fight things in the games, not just run away from them. But that's usually what I prefer. I do have other things. I do like some of them. I have played Outlast before. I do have that. But at the same time, it wasn't really the best. To me, it just kind of feels like you're going through a haunted house instead of, I think it just clashes with my personality whenever I'm running away from things where I normally want to fight them. It just doesn't really sit with me. Which, don't get me wrong, those games have their place. I do like them, like to watch them, just to see people play them, have fun with them, but they're not really my kind of playthings. But yeah, other than that, there's like Fatal Frame, like I said, there's Haunting Ground, there's Kuon, there's... I have a few others, but I'm forgetting them off the top of my head. I also said Obscure 1 and 2, which that's like a late 90s, early 2000s time capsule that I would probably absolutely mock and make fun of, but at the same time it is an interesting game. It's got like Blink 182 for the soundtrack. So that's an interesting one. And then, yeah, Kuon, made by the people, they made, this small game, Dark Souls or Elden Ring. So that one would be interesting to see. It's a hell of a gap to go from, Japanese horror to whatever you would classify Dark Souls as. I think it actually has its own genre called Souls-like, so whatever you would classify item storytelling on top of really hard combat as. So that's definitely interesting. I do have other things that I would probably play in the long run. I did play stuff like God Hand. It's a beat 'em up. Really goofy, quirky story. That sort of stuff. Probably Resident Evil 4. I do have the HD texture stuff for that to make it look really nice, so I might go with that sometime. I would probably consider Resident Evil 5. I had played that one a lot whenever I was younger, though Sheva just absolutely pisses me off. She is absolutely terrible. I would also be open for suggestions on other games. I mean, I'm just one guy who happens to own a few old ones and hear about ones that I come across. But at the same time, if you happen to have a suggestion for a game, I'm more than willing to hear it. Because, hell, I mean, I'll play most things. I like roguelites, I like horror, I like survival horror, I like action, that sort of stuff. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, let me know. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil games. I do have the Silent Hills. I never actually really played a whole lot of them, but it's one of those where I'd like to go back and play through and see what they're all about. I do know most of the story with them, but at the same time, I never really played them myself. I usually watch my older cousin play them. He really liked Silent Hill 3. I do know the story with Silent Hill 2, I know the story with Silent Hill 1, like most of the backstory with those. But at the same time, I've never really played them a ton, like I said. So I wouldn't be as detailed with those as I am with the Dead Spaces. Dead Space was basically whenever I got to high school, so that's why I have such a huge love of Dead Space and know a lot of the stuff surrounding them, because it was my obsessive high school years where I would read through everything and do everything with them. And I still hope that they continue the story on, with Remake being popular as it is now. I really do want them to continue on and eventually maybe do something with the Brother Moons. We'll see what happens there. I didn't really care for Carver, but hey, maybe we'll get something there. I might play Dead Space 3 eventually, but I wouldn't really count on it a whole lot. There's just something not really that fun about that game. It's more of a forcing myself to play kind of game. I may, but whenever half of it's chopped off behind co-op stuff, I don't really know if I'll play that. So, that one's kind of up in the air. I may eventually, but at the same time, you won't be getting the full story if I single-player Dead Space 3, so maybe eventually. But not really gonna confirm anything on that one. But we will be getting towards the end of our credits here pretty shortly, and then we'll have the end of credits, and then after that it's just the saving the cleared game. So, other than that, let me know what you guys think. If you have any suggestions for games, let me know down below. If you want to see me play a certain game, I'd be more than happy to hear about it. Like I said, I like horror, action, roguelites, that sort of stuff, so anything like that, just let me know down below. So, other than that, let me know what you guys think, and have a good one.
This is Flight Team EG9 to Control. We have completed the flyby. There's nothing left. I repeat, Titan Station has been completely destroyed.
And the marker?
Negative. Nothing survived this, sir. Marker Site 12 is a total loss.
Pity. Recall all flights and return to base. The other sites will have to pick up the pieces.